Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 196, Introduction to Designing Web Graphics for the Spring Semester 2022. Today we're going to start on Lesson 11, which covers the topic of navigation. Before I do, though, there was one thing that where we ended last week, and I was having issues with it. Let me... And it was because it was very simple. It was for the media query that we created for our green styles, which is the maximum width of 426 pixels. If I switch to, let's go, I think it's Contact Us. There we go. We look at Contact Us and we look at it down here. Remember, I was having difficulty with the size of the image. Well, that's pretty easy to rectify, as it turns out. Let me go back again. Let's go ahead here. So what we needed to do, let's go ahead and I'll move it back down again. I wasn't looking at things very clearly. So what I have here, let me go ahead and let's look at green styles, finished, and global. And what I wanted was, media query. And let's go down here. This is the double, the float left, float right, where I had width. I accidentally put it in the width at 95%, not maximum width. So here, if you change this, that is what happens there. We want this to be 95% in the maximum width. So my eyesight isn't so good. If I change this, if I turn that off, let's go ahead and hide that. And let's come back under width. And I put in, again, in percentages. Let's put in, see, it disappears. So that's a good sign. That, in effect, is working. I put in 95% there. Notice how it turns out, really large and expanded. Okay. So that was where that mistake was made. So let me go back here. Let's go ahead and remove that. Under maximum width, I'm going to turn that back on. And it's centered because we used block. It also, the height of this is not default, but it's automatic. Okay. And it works just fine now. So that was that. So let's go ahead and move on to navigation today. That's what we're covering. What I want to do first is I want to look at some of the finished pages and show you what we'll be working with. So let me go to File and let me go to Real-Time View and let's view it in Firefox. Okay, so let me make sure that everything is saved. There we go. So let's go back here and let's take a look. So this is what it will look like when it's done. You can see that we're starting with green news, but you'll notice that under the navigation here, most of these work now. We don't have a travel page yet. We really don't have a home page, and I need to talk about that today. But if I click on green news, that just takes us where we are pretty much. So that's green news. You'll notice that we now have developed a drop-down menu so we can go to green events. I can go to class schedule, which drops down to a bottom area. So we'll add that. We can go to green tips. We can go to contact us and we can go to about us. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do today is talk about navigation and our links that get us there, and what kind of links exist, and how to create, and then we'll begin creating them. So let's start by looking at the ones that I just showed you. That the links that we have up here are internal links, and they are relative links, meaning they are contained within our root folder. Okay. Now, if I go to Contact Us, for example, and I look at the links that we have here, we also have something called absolute or external links. In order to use an external link, it has to be absolute. It means that you have to use the entire URL, http:// whatever it is. Okay, so watch, if I click on Meridian, it takes me to a Google Map address. Okay, it's a little slow to load right now, but that's because I'm having issues with the speed right now. So let's go back here. So that also opened in a new tab. That's another issue. So again, we have internal links or relative links, and we have external links or absolute links. And there's an important distinction between the two. If anything is linked to something within your root folder, it will be a relative link. If anything is linked to something outside, anything on the internet that's outside of your root folder, it will be an absolute link or an external link. Now, some of the other kinds of links that we have here is that if you want to create a link to an email address, that's something that we'll be doing as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Let me go ahead and move this up because I'm previewing it in a browser. And in order to start with the links in our nav bar, if you recall, if we select any of these, this is not an editable region. So what I have to do is I have to go to our green styles, or not green styles. I have to go to our Dreamweaver template, and that is where we change them. Okay, so they have given us, that is, Dreamweaver has given us a number of different ways of adding links. I can simply click in here and I can highlight the text. And when I do, what I need to do is I need to look down to the properties panel, and it might be easier for us. You can either do that here. Okay, so notice that when I highlighted that, this little link popped up. So what I can do is I can either add the link here, or we can switch to design view. Okay, so let me highlight it in design view. Come on, I'm having trouble highlighting it. Don't crash, don't crash. There we go. No, I didn't want to do that. Let me undo it. There we go. I moved the H over. So I just want to highlight it. And then you look down below in the properties panel, and you can see that the placeholder that's utilizing this, or let us know that it is a potential link, is where you have the hashtag, or it's the Octothorpe, or it's whatever you want to call it. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put it in by hand. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that because we don't have an index.html yet. And I'm going to go ahead and type it, index.html. And before you publish, I'll mention this again, but before you publish less than 11, and that's really important that you do that, preferably using your infinityfree.net account. And you can replace what you've done with less than 7 with, if I already have it graded with less than 11. So that's how we do that. Okay, that's one way of applying a link. Another way of doing that is, let's go to Green News. So I'll highlight that. And now what I can do is I can click down here. If you don't know the exact relative or absolute link, you'll have to go elsewhere. But for the relative link, I can click right here on the folder. So I'm going to switch from CSS Designer to Files. And I'm going to click right here, make sure that that's all highlighted. And I'm in, again, remember that I'm in the template, and I am right now, it's easiest if I'm in design view to select that. And now what I want to do is I'm going to click right next to that Octothorpe to the right. I'm going to click on the little folder. And that should take us to our root folder, and it does. And so now what I want to do, as I said, that's Green News. I find the news HTML and I select it. Okay. I select open. And you'll notice how it changes. We have .. /news.html. So now we've added a link there. Another way of doing that, which I like an awful lot, is similar to what I was talking about last Tuesday regarding images, is that we also have this little target here. And so what I can do, where it says green events, we're not going to use green. Well, let me go ahead and use green events, because we will be changing this up. I'm going to go ahead and click here, and let's go up to the green events page and release it. And you'll notice that it adds it. That I find to be really, really useful. I'm going to go to green tips because we don't have a green travel page yet. And I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to go to green tips, or it's tips.html right here. And you just drag it on top of it, and it adds the link. And now I'll go to contact us and do the same. And I'm going to go to about us. So those are the three different ways that you can do it. You can either put it in by hand. You can go to the little folder and select the file in your root folder. Or in here, when we have files visible, I can use the little target and I can go to contact us. Okay, here, and just select whichever page we want. Okay, so I highlight it. And again, the only reason I'm able to change it right now is that I'm in the template. Okie doke. So let me go ahead again, and let's, because you won't be able to add these links in the individual pages. So if you haven't used, that's another thing, that if you don't use a template, then you have to make sure that you, because you're not going to have any protected areas, everything will be editable, that you're going to have to go for, depending on how many pages you have, you'll have to make these changes in the nav bar on every page. That would be the advantage of using a template, that if you have, in this case, we'll have, 6, 7 pages. You only have to do it once, and it applies to all of them. If you had 100 pages, the same would be true. So I'm going to go to About Us, and I've added that link. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and save all. Okay, so that's updated, and we get this little dialog box, which is important. It says update template files. Remember when we were creating the template, we created a child page, that any child page that was generated from the template, anytime you made changes to the template, it will prompt you when you save those changes, do you want to update these pages? And I'm going to select update. Okay, so now they're all updated. Now I can go ahead and I can close. Okay. Now, let's go ahead, and one more thing that they want us to do is we're going to turn this into a home page. We're going to change the green start or H2 tag up here, or H2, yeah. It has an H2 tag assigned to it. And we're going to turn this into a link. So what we're going to do down here is I'm going to type in home. Not home. What am I going to do? What am I saying? It's going to be index. Just to let you know, that's why I said when you decide to publish lesson 11, that you're going to have to decide which of the pages you have created, and save it as an index.html as well. Not all of them, just one of them. And that will become your home page. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to go back to our CSS Designer, and we need to specify, because once I've added that link, it's going to change everything when I go back to its appearance, when I go back to the live view. So what I need to do here is what we're going to do, since this is in the header and it's an H2 heading, then what we need to do now is make sure that I have in green styles. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a selector. Make sure that global is selected as well here. And so what we want to do here is type in header, space, and I want H2 because it's going to be an H2. And then I want space a : link. Okay, comma, and now we also we're going to use it for a visited link. So I'm going to select H2 again, a : visited. Hit the return key twice. And now what I want to do is I need to apply just a couple of different features to this, or aspects. What we're going to do under text for color, and not color, I want to inherit under color. I don't want any of that. I want to go ahead, undefined. I'm going to type in here, inherit. You know what? I'm going to do it down at the bottom here, and it will be easier. Where it says here, we can go ahead and add something here, and I'm just going to put color. Whoops. Color. Oh, come on, I can't type. Color, and hit the return key, and I want it to inherit. So it's going to inherit the color that we have already assigned to it. And then under decoration, because there's a variety of ways that you can decorate links. You can apply underlines. We've already applied to the links that are in our navigation bar. We have a hover state. So there's all sorts of things that we can change in there. Right now, we don't want any. So under text description, so let's go back to text. And under text description, text decoration, we want none. Okay, so there's none, not description, decoration. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to make sure that I save all. Save all. Make sure that all the pages are updated. And now let's go back to, from design view, let's go back to live view. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close. And now you'll notice that all of these links should work. If I go back up to our preview page here, okay, and I select green news, got that. If I go to about us, it goes there. So, so far, everything is working. And that's another thing that I strongly recommend, is that every time you add a link that you, or make changes. They're, in this case, very significant. And even if you don't think they're significant, make sure that you test it in a browser to make sure that it's all working, properly. So the next thing that we're going to do now, we've added all of our child pages. It's updated them all. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to, let's go back to our files. And I want to open a contact us page. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of, we're going to start by adding an internal or external link. So what I want to do is I want to highlight the word Meridian. And what I'll also need to do is I need to go to, let's come down here, and I'm going to go ahead to, I wanted to go to Google Maps. Okay, so here's San Jose, California, and what I want to do is I want to share it. And when I share it, notice that I get kind of an abbreviated link here, and I want to copy the link. So now I can close that. I can go back to Meridian. Let's go back up here, move that back away. And now what I can do is when I highlight Meridian here, either there or in the, it's catching up. Here we go. So again, because I can make the changes here because remember, these are editable regions. So I'll go ahead and I'll highlight just the word. I don't want the comma. And under the link down here, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command V for paste. Now, when I do that, notice everything that's been added here. Now, this is what is called an absolute link or external link, where it added the HTTPS for secure, and then colon slash backslash, and then it put everything else in that we had copied from before. And now when we go back here and we change, notice how the word Meridian has changed. What appears now is that when you hover over it, you'll notice that you get it gets an underlined or underscored. So that's a clear indicator that this, in fact, is a link to something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to test it. I'm going to make sure that the page is saved. And I'm going to go ahead and go to File. I'm going to preview in Firefox. Let's see if this is working and see how I'm getting these error messages here. So let's go ahead and refresh, see if that doesn't fix it, and that's not working. I've been having problems with this morning. And normally when this happens, what you need to do, and if you publish your website and this happens, what you need to do is to delete the Bootstrap CSS and your internal CSS, and then relink them and then republish it for them to work. So right now, this isn't working for me right now, so we'll come back to it. The next thing that we want to cover, though, is, and let's do this for Elaine here. Okay. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can add another kind of link here is for emails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight Elaine@greenstart.org. And then what I'm going to do here is under the link, there's a couple of ways of doing this. The old way of doing that is just to type in here, mail to, it's all one word, colon, and then put in Elaine at greenstart.org. That's all there is to it. Okay, and as soon as I click off of it, again, you'll see that it turns that blue color. And when we move the cursor over it, we get the little underscore indicating that it is a link. And it will go, when you click on that link, when it's published, it will go to open up your, whatever you're using as your default mail service, and allow you to create an email to them. Now, another way to do that would be to highlight. Let's do it for Sarah down here. Click here. Highlight Sarah.org. And now we can go to insert, and we want HTML. Okay. And what I want to insert is a, let's see if I can find it here. I want it to be a link. I never use this anymore. I just use, there you go, email link. So when I select that, I want it to nest. Yeah, this is where it gets kind of funky. I'm not going to do it this way, because instead, if you wanted to change a word, for example, to an email, let's say, for example, you want to use the word Eric as an email link. Highlight the word Eric, and now let's go back under insert HTML, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select email link. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around that, or it won't let me do that. So let's go ahead. I don't want the whole thing. That's stupid. Let me deselect that. That's not what I wanted to do. Screw it. Just do it the way that I've shown you here. Just type in here. I guess if I wanted, how they want you to do that is, let's go ahead here. I don't like it this way. I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to say, go ahead and insert email. So I want it after this. So let's do it again. HTML, and I want email link. And I'll just do it to nest it in here. And the text will be, this is what we should have done for Meridian, I suppose. Or no, that we wanted it in external. So I'll just say Kmart. Okay. And where I want it to go is kirkmillerart@gmail.com. Now, when I click that, you'll notice what it did. It put it in there, just the name. But when I click on here and I highlight it, you'll notice it has a mail to down here. So that's another way to add an email link. So let's go on to the next part. So I set up our email links, mail to. If you want to create an image-based link, we talked about that before. So let's, for example, select Elaine. Okay. Now we can either put the link here, but I don't know that it will allow us to create a target just yet. So I'm going to put in, again, mine, just Kmart 66.com. And it's not allowing us to do that. It's not allowing me to target it while I'm in live view. So what I need to do is I need to switch from live view to design view. Okay. And when I do, now I can specify a target. So I'm going to go ahead and with her image selected, I can go ahead and click on the link, and I'll go ahead. It can be any link you want. I'm going to put in my own website. Okay. Now I should be able to, down here, why isn't it allowing me to do that? There we go. Now I can add it, and I want it to select blank. So another thing that you should consider when you're adding absolute or external links is that you're going to want to add, instead of having it do the default, which will replace the existing page with the one that you've added or have linked to, that you want to probably open up a new tab. There's nothing that's worse that when you go to a website and you're reading the text and you come upon a link in the middle of a paragraph and you go, oh, that looks interesting. And you click on the link and it takes you to another website, but it replaces the existing page with the one that you're linked to. And then you can do that again and again. Before you know it, you follow these breadcrumbs and gone down this rabbit hole. And then you want to get back to the original and you can't. You have to undo several times, or you have to go back in history. So my recommendation is that you use blank to open it up in a new tab. And if you also recall, I said what another thing that you can do, let's go ahead and take the link away. And what I want to do is I can go ahead here, and when I add a link, let's do it again. Well, let's go ahead and let's select the target or the map first. And I used a little circle the other day that covered part of her face. And with that selected, that's the only active area that will exist in the photograph. And so again, now you can go ahead and you can select a link. It can be an internal link. It can be, or meaning a relative link, or it can be an external link. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in, again, mine again, and I'll go ahead and I'll be safe and put in http://kmart66.com. Okay. And then I want to make sure that I add a target to it. And I want to select blank. There we go. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and we'll select save, and let's go from design view, let's go back to live view. There we go. And again, when you hover over her, let's go ahead here. When you hover over, there you go, hover over her face, you get the little finger sign that indicates that you are in fact creating a link to another website or another page or something of that nature. Now, another thing that we can do too, if you want to create an email link, is that we can select, for example, Sarah here. I can highlight it. Okay. And notice that when I select it, the B italic or the link pops up. We can go ahead and click here, and now we can enter her email address, whatever that needs to be. And again, you need to use the mail to, though. Whoops, I don't want that. So let me do that again. Let's highlight. And let's go ahead and select the link. And again, here, just as we did in the properties panel, you need to put mail to, and then put her email address. And that's it. I'll put, again, Sarah at Greenstart .org. Okay, and when I roll off of it, and I change it, notice that it's saved, that as a link. So there you have that one. Let's go ahead and give it a try. We're running, we have plenty of time. Let's go ahead and create some targeted links, which means that if, I'll show you what that means. Let's go to events and let's go again. There we go. And I'm going to scroll down here. And we have a couple of them here that we have events and classes. Notice that these are links, and you don't know when you click on them, are they going to take you to another page, another website, or whatever. But when I click on classes, notice it just scrolls down. It drops down to the, an anchor tag that we have created. Likewise, when we scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice where it says return to top. When I creating there, it brings us back up to the top. So we're adding what are called creating internal targeted links. So that's what we'll work on next. So I'm going to move this up here. And let's go ahead, and from here, we're going to go ahead and open the events page. Not the finished, but the events page. And before we can insert a link inside here, we have to define what it means to do top. So what we're going to do is, well, let's see. Hold on here. Well, I guess we're going to do the other parts first. We're going to create where we're going to put the targeted links. So that's okay. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. I was going to suggest that we go back, because you're going to have to go back to the let me see if I can find it here. It's our Dreamweaver template. Yeah, it will have to be put in there because the top of the page is linked inside, or it's located inside the, yeah, we want the destination ID. So what we're going to do, let me go ahead and do that first. So let me go to make sure that it works. So let's go to the template. Okie doke. And what I want to do is where it says here in here, let's go ahead and select one of here. Let's go ahead and select div container. And let's go back under one more. Actually here, div row. And one more before that. That's the container. We want, no, we do want the row. Let's go back here. There we go. I got to try to, let me go back outside of this and go into, anytime I have troubles with this, I have to go back to the design view. So let me try this here. It's not working for me. So let me go back to live view. Let me pause the recording real quick. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have the div row selected. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to hit Command T. Come on, select it. Command T. Oh, no. There we go. Command T. What's happening here? I don't want to capture anything. Command T. Make sure that the tag is selected here. Command T. There we go. So now the edit tag comes up. And so where I want to put this now is right after div and before class, I'm going to put ID equals top. So I'm going to put a space and put ID equals, and then in quotes, top. Whoops. And end quotes. There we go. And select it. And so now we've specified where the top of our page is. So now I can go ahead and select update. Okay. So we've updated our pages. Now I can close it. And once that's done, now we can go back to our, I don't want that one. Where was it? I'm trying to see here. We don't want the contact one. We want, here we go, the events page. Where is that? There we go. We want the one that hasn't been edited yet. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to insert where we're going to add those links. And we're going to have one here between the two. And it might be easier just to do it in split view. Okay, so here's our caption, and we want it to be before the caption and before the table, and we want it, let's see if it's going to be, we're going to have it return to top. So it's going to go in between sections here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a paragraph in here between these two. And if this isn't the right location, then we will put it inside there. But I'm going to go ahead and put in a P tag. Okay, let's put in a closing tag. Whoops, I didn't want that. Now let's go ahead and there. And now in between that, what I want to do is I'm going to put return to top. Okie doke. So I've added that. Now what I need to do is I need to add, let's see where they wanted that. They wanted, I'm putting it between them. Between, I don't know if it's in, if they want us before or after that, but I'm just going to try this one instead. So what we want to do now is we're going to, let's see, hold on. Let me pause this again. So what I've decided to do is I put the return to top just inside the section tag, but I'm not sure that that's correct. I'm going to go ahead over CSS Designer. Okay. And let's go ahead here. Why isn't it allowing me to get files, CSS Designer? There we go. So now it's coming up correctly. Make sure that we have all sources, green styles, global selected. I'm going to create a new selector called center. So we'll call it, it will be a class CTR. Okay. So with that centered, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the text is centered. So let's come down here and center the text. We want to make sure that the margins on the top are 15 pixels. And again, I'm basing that on what the book wants us to do here. So let's go back up. margin top 15 pixels, 1.5. There we go. And then the other thing that we want to do is, what else do we want to do? Let's just leave it at that and see how it looks. And I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click where we have return to top. And I'm going to go ahead and add the ID to it, or the class. So it's going to be .ctr. Now it's centered. That's a good location for it, I suppose. We could try it in between and see what happens. Anyway, that's all we need to do for the time being. But now what we want to do is we want it to go to the top. And I'm going to go ahead and put this again. I'm going to take the whole paragraph here with a class, and I'm going to put it at the very bottom of our page too. So I'll make sure that it's copied, go to the bottom, and just before the end of the section, come on, I'm going to go ahead and put that again. So here we go. So here's the end of the table, but before the end of the section, and I'll go ahead and I'll paste that. So now we have another one there. So we have return to top. There we go. Now, how does it get back to the top? Well, we assigned an ID to the top of our page. So now we highlight this. And we're going to add a different kind of selector in here, or link. And this is an internal link within the page. So now what we want to do is we want to put an octothorpe or hashtag, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to write top. Okay. There you go. Let's do the same to the other one that we added. So I'll highlight this one again, and then down here under link, make sure that you use the hashtag or octothorpe, whatever you want to call it, top. Okay. Notice that it changes color when we highlight over it. Now let's go ahead and preview it in the browser and test it. So I'm going to go to make sure that it's save all. And then this will be it for today. Let's go ahead and preview it in the browser. Let's try again. It's coming up in preview on mine that it's not recognizing the style sheets. So let me try again. Let's go back here and go with this all selected file. Preview in browser. Real-time preview. I'm using Firefox, by the way. And it doesn't want to recognize it. So we're going to have to leave this for refresh, and it doesn't like it. So again, run up against the hour and I'm running into snags. What we can do though is where it says down here, return to the top. I click there and it does go to the top, but our styles aren't being previewed. So those are working. Preview for me at the moment isn't working, and it's been toggling on and off as I've been talking to you. So I'm not sure what the deal is here. Why it wants to ignore that. Well, let's try a different browser. Let's try select this, and then that will be it for today. File. And I want to real-time preview. Let's try Safari and see if I get any better luck. No, see, it's doing the same thing. It's not recognizing the style sheets. So I'll have to bring that back to you on Tuesday, and we'll get that last snag worked out. I'm sure everything is working. I'm just not sure why the links aren't working here, because I know that they're linked to the correct root folder. But anyway, that's the way it goes for today. So anyway, that's it, Paula. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to turn off